Leif Erikson's epic journey. The first to discover the New World. The call of adventure. In a Viking settlement in Greenland, a tall, fearless man named Leif Erikson was preparing for a voyage unlike any other. His father, Eric the Red, had led the Vikings to Greenland, but Leif's adventurous spirit craved more. He had heard stories of a distant land, one rich with forests and fertile soil. This land, he believed, was waiting to be found. As the cold wind whipped around him, Leif looked out at his longship, the Dragon's Wing, being readied for the journey. His crew gathered around, their trust in him unwavering. The time has come, Leif thought. We must find this new world. With the ship packed with supplies, Leif's heart raced with the promise of discovery. Into the icy abyss, Leif and his brave crew set sail into the wild, open waters of the Atlantic. The sea was unforgiving. Huge waves crashed against the Dragon's Wing, and icy mist filled the air. The crew struggled, their hands freezing on the oars, but they followed Leif's steady lead. "The seas grow angry, Leif," one of the crew shouted over the roar of the storm. "Hold fast," Leif called back, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "We will make it through." The storm raged on, but Leif never lost faith. With his strong hands gripping the helm, he steered the ship through the chaos, determined to reach the unknown land. Land on the horizon. After what felt like an eternity of battling the icy waves, the storm finally calmed. The crew was exhausted, but suddenly, one of the men at the front of the ship shouted, "Leif, look! There on the horizon!" Leif's heart leaped. He shielded his eyes from the glare of the sun and saw it, a dark shape rising from the mist. "Land! Land!" he whispered, his voice filled with awe. Excitement rippled through the crew. With renewed energy, they rowed hard, the Dragon's Wing slicing through the water towards the mysterious shore. The first footsteps. At last, the ship reached the shoreline. The crew, wide-eyed and filled with wonder, jumped out and onto the soft sand. Leif was the first to step foot on this strange, new land, becoming the first European to ever touch what would later be known as North America. Leif knelt down, running his hand through the sand. The land stretched out before them, lush forests, untouched wilderness, and an air of peace that filled their hearts with hope. "This is it," Leif whispered to himself. "The land spoken of in the old tales. We shall call it Vinland." The crew looked on, in awe of the beautiful, unclaimed world around them. Exploration and discovery. Leif and his men wasted no time. They ventured deep into the land, exploring its vast forests, rivers, and meadows. They gathered wild grapes and fresh timber, amazed at the richness of the land. "Leif, this land is plentiful," one of the crew exclaimed. "It has more than we could ever imagine." Leif smiled. He could see the future in this place, a place where his people could thrive. They built a small camp and reveled in the beauty and bounty of Vinland, their hearts full of excitement for what this new land could offer. A threatening shadow. One night, as the crew rested near their camp, a strange sound stirred in the forest. The snap of a twig, the rustling of leaves. Leif's eyes darted to the trees, and he saw a shadow move in the darkness. "What is it, Leif?" one of the men asked, gripping his weapon. "Are we alone here?" Leif raised his hand to calm them. "We don't know who or what else lives in this land, but we come in peace," he said quietly. Though the forest remained silent afterward, the crew stayed alert, knowing that this vast new land could hold many unknowns. The return home. After weeks of exploring Vinland, it was time to return to Greenland. The Dragon's Wing was loaded with timber and wild fruits, proof of their discovery. Leif stood on the shore, gazing out at the open sea, feeling both pride and anticipation. "We have seen wonders beyond imagination," Leif thought. "But now, we must return home and tell our story." With the wind at their backs, they set sail. The journey home felt lighter, filled with the satisfaction of knowing they had found a new world. When they finally arrived in Greenland, the village erupted in cheers. Leif stepped off the ship, greeted by his father, Eric the Red, who looked at his son with pride. "You have done what no man before you has done," Eric said, clasping Leif's shoulder. "This is only the beginning," Leif replied. his eyes gleaming. The world is far greater than we ever knew.